Hello, this is the LEGO Overwatch set called Hanzo vs. Genji. And it's a very nice little scene that they've put together here. Just a small snippet of Shimada Castle, taken basically the entire setting here. The selection of figures and exactly what they've shown here is taken from the short film that was done officially for Hanzo, as a little bit of a character backstory from him. So for what it is, it's pretty nicely done. It mostly gives you those two core figures plus one extra background figure who's really not important, but again is taken just from that specific short. And the builds here are nice. It's elegant. It's something that I think a lot of people would be happy to have on display. I like the builds. I like the presentation of everything. Minimal use of stickers, just as much as was necessary to get the important details across. Print is used for the health pack back there, that 1x1 cylinder. They've done that in a handful of pieces. They use the inverted, or I guess I should say just upside down mounted Darth Ball BB9E headpiece in black, and the whole thing can be set up relatively flat, or it can be turned in to create a smaller, more intimate space if you want to set it up like that. And they also have a couple of hidden features that are presented as traps here. You push on the red back here and it acts as a remote trigger mechanism for disc launchers. You've got disc launcher on that side, disc launcher on this side, and they're representing the Dragons of the North and South Wind, the two brothers. They've just included two of each of these in the set. Let me get the other ones. And that's about it for what you actually build up here. Doesn't look particularly great from the back, but doesn't look particularly terrible either. That is an Overwatch medallion over on the side there as well. See that just a little bit better, like so. Well, printed 1x1 tile piece. Let's look at the figures. I think they did a pretty good job on this Hanzo. I think the detailing is pretty good, although the print of the skin tone on the torso is an issue. Definitely should have been stronger, should have been thicker. I think an extra coat there, just a white coat beneath, would have been all that it needed to give it the opacity that it needs. But I don't know, for some reason it doesn't look as weird when they do it like this as when they do the same on a face. When they print a skin tone onto a black piece for a face, it just ends up looking terrible. This, for some reason, to me, feels a little bit forgivable. Maybe I shouldn't forgive it, but I feel like I can. His bow is really basic. Dark blue is probably the first time that we've gotten that bow piece in that color, but would have been nice to get a new mold for that, although it probably isn't worth it for just this one character. But his bow was pretty cool in universe. Now, the hairpiece I think is great. I really like how that is done. Nicely sculpted up. The face looks very good as well. And this is an add-on piece here. The tie, you can kind of rotate that around. That's a nice looking part. They've actually included that in two colors in this one set. No alternate face. That's too bad. Although maybe he doesn't need a whole lot of expressive range, but it's just nice to give the option when it's available. And the print on the back of the torso is nothing to write home about. Again, that's supposed to be skin tone there on the upper left, and it ends up just not looking like that. And it's not going to look like skin tone no matter what, given that the whole torso piece is black, so you don't get that continuity around it. But to me, it's still not a bad looking figure. Genji looks pretty good to me as well. The torso, hip, and leg prints especially, though they are just a little bit fuzzy around the edges for the leg printing and the hip printing. It's a lot more obvious when you look at it this close than from any normal distance. The only thing that I don't like here about this figure is the printing on the head. Is it just the printing, or is it the molding, or is it both? It just looks too simple to me for this scale, for what they've done everywhere else. The level of detail in the torso especially just kind of sets an expectation, I want to say. And then the printing for the helmet, or the level of detail for the helmet, or mask, is it? Combination, both mask and helmet. I'm going to call it a helmet. It just doesn't match. It's crisp what they put there, but it's just not on the same level, if you ask me. There's that other ribbon tie piece coming out the back in a different color, dark gray this time. He's got his green colored katana. And there's that print on the back of the torso, which matches the level of quality for the front, which is very good. And there's no alternate face. There's no main face either. No face whatsoever. Just a plain silver colored head for this one, because we never do see his entire face. You know, he does have a face. He is basically human under there. Might be a cyborg now, but you know, he does have a face, but they didn't do any, which I think is fine. But again, wish that there was some more detail on that helmet. It's just too plain to me. And lastly, here's one of the Shimada Castle, I guess, guards, and a specific one from that Hanzo short. You know, he goes for his phone, he has a weapon, and he's trying to run away to sound the alarm, and he gets stopped, but alarm gets sounded anyway. This guy is pretty perfect for what he's supposed to be. Of course, I have to throw in a little bit of sarcasm, throw a little bit of shade at LEGO. I always say they don't do realistic weapons, but there's a semi-realistic weapon again, an existing mold, not something new, something they've used a number of times before. They've actually done multiple molds like that to represent modern, realistic firearms, and not to mention the fact that, you know, they also do swords and stuff, which are way more gory than firearms even. Based on what we get here, I would probably value this set at about $20 US, and it is sold at its default retail price of $20 US. So that's pretty perfect if you ask me. However, the price overseas, rest of the world, is not good. It is too high in my opinion. It needs to come down a noticeable amount. But the set itself, I think, is put together pretty well, you know, for what it is. Each of the figures has, well, each of the main figures has some shortcomings. They're not perfect for sure, but they're not bad. Yeah, I mean, overall, basically, once you see what's in here, you see what the figures actually look like in person, you know, not just in the renderings or, you know, special models that were set up for LEGO, you know, to market the sets. You see the real things. If you like what you see, then I think you'll enjoy the set well enough. If you don't like what you see, or if you have questions about it, you're not sure that the value is quite there, if the fact that the print for Genji is not looking like that for the body, especially if that bugs you, then yeah, you might want to just hold off. This is definitely not a must-buy unless you're going for maximum completion for the entire series, but it's not bad, in my opinion, that's for sure. That's all I have to say about this one. I also did a build for the set. You'll find a link to that at the end of this video momentarily, and these are the parts that were left over from that build, which is a really nice selection, in my opinion, for such a small set. There you go. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you again as soon as I can.